Augustus had, undoubtedly, good reasons for wishing me to remain concealed, and I formed 1,000 surmises as to what they could be. But I could not think of nothing affording but I could think of nothing affording a satisfactory solution of the mystery. Just after returning from my last journey to the trap, and before my attention had been otherwise directed by singular conduct of Tiger, I had come to the resolution of making myself heard at all events by those on board, or if I could not succeed in this directly, of trying to cut up my way through the orlop deck. The half certainty which I felt was of being able to accomplish one of these two purposes in the last emergency had given me courage, which I should not otherwise have had to endure the evils of my situation. The few words which I had been able to read, however, had cut me off from these final resources, and I now, for the first time, felt all the misery of my fate. In a paroxysm of despair, I threw myself again upon the mattress, where, for about the period of a day and a night, I lay in a kind of stupor, relieved only by the momentary intervals of reason and recollection. At length I once more arose and busied myself in reflection upon the horrors which encompassed me. For another 24 hours it was barely possible that I might exist without water. For a longer time I could not do so. During the first portion of my imprisonment I made free use of the cordials with which Augustus had supplied me, but they only served to excite fever, without in the least degree assuaging my thirst. I had now only about a gill left, and this was only of a species of strong peach liquor, at which my stomach revolted. The sausages were entirely consumed, of the ham nothing remained but a small piece of the skin, and all the biscuit except for a few fragments of one had been eaten by Tiger. To add to my troubles, I found that my headache was increasing momentarily, and with it all the species of delirium which had distressed me more or less since my first falling asleep. For some hours past it had been with the greatest difficulty I could breathe at all, and now each attempt at so doing was attended with the most depressing spasmodic action of the chest. But there was still not another and very different source of disquietude, and the one indeed whose harassing terrors had been the chief means of arousing me to exertion from my stupor on the mattress. It arose from the demeanor of the dog. I first observed that an alteration in his conduct was while rubbing in his phosphorus on the paper on my last attempt. As I rubbed, he ran his nose against my hand with a slight snarl, but I was too greatly excited at the time to pay much attention to the circumstance. Soon afterward, it will be remembered, I threw myself on the mattress and fell into a species of lethargy. Presently, I became aware of a singular hissing sound close to my ears, and discovered it to proceed from Tiger, who was panting and wheezing in a state of greatest apparent excitement, his eyeballs flashing fiercely through the gloom. I spoke to him while he replied with a low growl, then remained silent. Quiet. Presently I relapsed into my stupor, from which I was again awakened in a similar manner. This was repeated 3 or 4 times, until finally his behavior inspired me with so great a degree of fear that I became fully aroused. He was now lying close by the door of the box, snarling fearfully, although in a kind of undertone, and grinding his teeth as if strongly convulsed. I had no doubt that the want of water or the confined atmosphere of the hold had driven him mad, and I was at a loss of what course to pursue. I could not endure the thought of killing him, yet it seemed absolutely necessary for my own safety. I could distinctly perceive his eyes fastened upon me with an expression of the most deadly animosity, and I expected every instant that he would attack me. At last I could endure my terrible situation no longer, and he determined to make my way from my box at all hazards and dispatch him. If his opposition should render it necessary for me to do so. To get out, I had to pass directly over his body, and when he seemed already to anticipate my design, raising himself upon the forelegs, as I proceeded by the altered position of his eyes, and displayed the whole of his white fangs, which were easily discernible. I took the remains of the ham skin and the bottle containing the liquor and secured them about my person, together with a large carving knife which Augustus had left me. Then, folding my cloak around me as closely as possible, I made a movement toward the mouth of the box. No sooner did I do this than the dog sprang with a loud growl to my throat. The whole weight of his body struck me on the right shoulder, and I fell violently to the left, while the enraged animal passed entirely over me. I had fallen upon my knees with the head buried among the blankets, and with these protected me from a second furious assault, during which I felt the sharp teeth pressing vigorously upon the wool which enveloped my neck, yet luckily without being able to penetrate all the folds. I was now beneath the dog, and for a few moments would place me completely in his power. Despair gave me strength, and I rose boldly up, shaking him from me by main force, and dragging with me the blankets from the mattress. These I now threw over him, and before he could extricate himself, I had got through the door and closed it. Effectually against his pursuit. In the struggle, however, I had been forced to drop the morsel of ham skin, and now found my whole stock of provisions reduced to a single gill of liquor. As this reflection crossed my mind, I felt myself actuated by one of the fits of perverseness which might be supposed to influence a spoiled child in similar circumstances, and raised the bottle to my lips. I drained it to the last drop, and dashed it furiously upon the floor. Scarcely had the echo of the crash died away, and I heard my name pronounced in an eager but subdued voice, issue from the direction of the steerage. So unexpected was anything in the kind, and so intense was the emotion excited within me by the sound, that I endeavored in vain to reply. My powers of speech had totally failed, and in an agony of terror lest my friend should conclude me dead, and returned without attempting to reach me, I stood up between the crates and the door of the box, trembling convulsively, and gasping and struggling for utterance. Had 1,000 words depended upon a syllable, I could not have spoken it. There was a slight movement, now audible among the lumber somewhere forward of my station. The sound presently grew less distinct, then again less so, and still less. Shall I ever forget my feelings at this moment? He was going, my friend, my companion, who I had a right to expect so much. He was going to abandon me. He would abandon me. He was gone. He would leave me to perish miserably, to expire in the most horrible and loathsome dungeons, and with a word, one little syllable would save me. Yet that single syllable I could not utter. I felt, I am sure, more than 10,000 times the agony of death itself. My brain reeled and I felt deadly sick against the end of the box. As I fell,